Good evening and welcome to episode 110 of Social Chatter. I'm Nick Rishwain here with the founder and co-host, Christian Karasevich. Good evening, Christian.
Good evening.
Our guest tonight is Amanda Robinson of Social Savvy Society. Did I get that correct?
You nailed it.
All right,
well done.
sure. And tell us the tagline, because I really like this tagline.
Amanda Robinson, Social Savvy Society, helping make business life easier for the less digitally savvy.
Excellent. I like that. So we're here tonight, episode 110. We got about 5 stories for you for social media news for businesses. And really, Christian, all of these stories are really business targeted tonight.
Absolutely.
All of them are really business targeted. Tell us a little bit about yourself first, Amanda. Certainly the only part I care to hear about is dog related. I got really excited when I saw the dog, and you take the dog traveling, but please tell us about your business first.
So first about the business, I help small and medium-sized businesses with their digital marketing, and primarily with digital advertising through Facebook ads, Google AdWords, and overall help them increase their digital footprint and make an impact, translating that into sales. And I like to focus with small and medium-sized business. I come from a corporate background. I used to work in the marketing department for TJX Canada, which is the Canadian version of TJX in the US. And I found with corporate, it's a bit of a challenge. When it comes to social media, you need to be able to react on a dime. Basically, it changes more than just daily. It changes more than I change my mind. Mm-hmm. And so to be able to be effective and to get really well-tuned results, being able to act nimbly and being able to test and try new things is where the real magic happens. And I find that small and medium-sized businesses have the ability to make those quick decisions and just go all in. Whereas corporate, sometimes you do need to run things up and down the flagpole.
And a lot of bureaucracy in a corporate, yeah.
And then on the small dog side, I just recently rebranded, and this small rescue mutt has been part of my world for the last 2 years, and everybody who knows me knows the dog. So the photographer doing my rebranding suggested, why don't you bring him along? So I thought, sure, great idea. Brought him along, and guess what? He is overtaking my brand. He's more photogenic than I am. He's more lovable than I am. So as you've noticed, he's the first thing that people bring up when they see Social Savvy Society.
It's one of those things, though, being a dog lover, it's, and I haven't shared with, I'll make sure to message you on Twitter, share my little rescue girl with you later. But, it's one of those things when you're a dog lover, it's like you glob right onto that. Oh, she's got a dog. All right. I like her already. Right. And, but I really liked some of the photos that I saw, and I saw them on your Instagram. I like the photo. It seems like you're very active outdoors, very in outdoors activity. And it looks like the dog goes with you on many of these excursions. And yes. I thought that's really cool. And because I did not get my dog. Of course, she's a lot smaller than yours. I did not get her used to those things early on. And, all these years later, she gets pretty nervous. Yeah. But I saw your dog in the kayak with you and doing all sorts of fun adventures. So I thought that was really cool. I think the rebranding, I don't know what the brand was like before, but I think this is really, it's fun, I mean, it really,
thank you.
It shows that, he's an important part of your life, and now he's a part of your business.
And he seems to capture hearts when it comes to the business side. So I might as well ride on his coattails and make it work.
There you go.
Yeah.
And is he a mutt, or is there do you know what his breed is?
I don't want to take us too far off topic, but he is a rescue dog from Turks and Caicos, the tropical islands. So he was rescued off the street as a little pup. He was flown over to Toronto to one of the humane societies, and then I scooped him up there, having no idea what he was or what his background was, just falling in love with the photo of this animal. Right. I wasn't even looking for a dog at the time. This dog fell into my life at the right time. I adopted him. It turns out he is one of the smartest dogs. The breed is called Pot Cake.
Okay, because I thought there must be a mix. I had never seen it. He looked different than what I was used to.
Yeah, they're basically a hound mix, and the Pot Cake breed, I guess you can say, is only found on the islands of Turks and Caicos and Bahamas. Only in Bahamas, they call them the Grand Bahamian pot cake.
Interesting. Very cool.
In other words, it's a glorified street dog, and they are incredibly smart, incredibly resourceful, and it's taken a long time for him and I to make that bond that we have.
That's cool. Very good. That's Christian. Are you still having some technical difficulties, or?
I'm okay. It's on my end. It keeps cutting in and out, but it might just be my.
Might be the connection. You sound fine on this end,
but
you're sounding fine on my end.
Okay, we'll keep going. Okay, awesome.
So let's jump right into the stories now tonight. The first one up, and I did get a chance to play with this today. If you want to post that in the chat, Christian, this is the share screen option on Facebook Live. And there's not, the link that you shared doesn't really have a story here. It is when you go live on Facebook Live from desktop, you now have the option to share a screen, and you have a couple of choices. You click. I tested this, and let me tell you what my experience was. Has anybody else tested this yet? No.
I haven't had the opportunity, no.
Okay, Christian, did you try it? This was my experience. I did it in a legal group that I participate in a couple of times a week, and then we have a Facebook group as well. And I have to choose share screen before going live, and then once I'm live and I'm on that screen, when I go to end the screen share, it ended my broadcast. So it didn't go back to, my face on screen or anything like that. So I thought it was not a real useful iteration of this tool. Now, that was my experience. I do think that this could be very good for people trying to do, it reminded me much of the YouTube videos where somebody is showing you how to do something on the screen, and you go here and you go there, and you tweak this or that in order to accomplish something. So a do-it-yourself video, I thought that this could be helpful as far as Facebook Live do-it-yourself. But other than that, it really didn't seem like, well, if I wanted to show you something and then go back to the story that I'm saying and bring myself back on camera, I'm not having that experience. So what are your thoughts on this, Amanda?
My thoughts are, I am so excited about the possibilities. I mean, when Facebook launches a new tool, it sometimes has its kinks, as with anything, right? So getting it out is definitely showing that there is a need for it, that users are hungry for this type of tool, in the sense that, people are using Ecamm Live. They're using Zoom, which we're on right now. They're using BeLive.tv.
Right.
So they're using tools, and people are starting to migrate away from different course delivery tools, perhaps, and they're leveraging private Facebook groups, and they're leveraging opportunities to make those connections and actually provide their training or provide their level of expertise and make it a real interactive experience. So Facebook is recognizing that, and they're trying to catch up with the game, because they don't want to lose that attention span to all of these third parties that are building these plugins to be able to work with the API and to deliver live screen sharing. So I'm so excited that they're giving it a go. I don't have good expectations for it for the first year.
Yeah, and that was it was funny. We were testing out a few things. Morris Lilienthal, one of our previous guests, and another group member with me. He wasn't there for that today, but he can see the video in the group, and it was. You're right. We're still waiting for Facebook to roll out true multi-person streams, and it still is just not very good, and we want to do it from the desktop. We'd like to do it this way. Like you said, we're using BeLive, and we use Blue Jeans in that group rather than Zoom, but very similar products. And it's just like, we've had the two-person stream for mobile for a while now, and nobody's using it from what I can see. Nobody that I know is using it.
It's not the same experience. It's not the same experience as having a full dual split screen.
Yeah.
And you definitely have a primary person and a secondary person joining the stream. It's nice to be able to cycle people in and out, and it attaches onto notifications to say so-and-so was live with so-and-so.
Right.
So there are features, again, more features that I'm hopeful with, but you nailed it. It's just not being used as much as the other platforms are. So there's definitely a hunger and a need for it. But I don't want to be too critical of Facebook, considering that they're providing a service that is this big and has so many focuses versus, some of the other live streaming functions or live streaming platforms that are focused on just what they do.
Right.
And we look at the days of Blab, when Blab sort of came, it swelled, it was looking super successful, and then it died.
Right.
So it's not easy to build a stable platform for live streaming. We're seeing that through multiple players that are showing up to the table. So I would assume that it would take a lot of resources from Facebook and their team to produce a Facebook caliber product that all of us would want to stand behind. So I can see it's great that they're dipping their toes in the water, but I'm really excited to see what they can come out with to stay ahead of the competition.
Agreed. Christian, what are your thoughts on this? Share screen and just we sort of digressed into other Facebook Live related.
So overall, I think that having the screen share feature, I'm glad that they're starting to introduce this. There's a few bugs, a few kinks in this. I think though that's it's better to ship something versus to not come out with this feature. And Facebook, they have to look at what other people are doing, and a lot of third-party companies are starting to come out with Ecamm Live. You got Ecamm Live, you got Wirecast, you got OBS. Like, you got a lot of people using a lot of these tools. And one of the challenges we've run into has been the fact that a lot of times they are very costly. A feature doesn't work exactly how you want it to. And so I'm glad to see they're actually moving forward with this. I think that people have to remember Facebook is a big company, and there are going to be, a few things here and there that aren't going to work right from the start, but they try to get it as close to perfect as possible so that then they can build on it and build on that success.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I think it's good that it rolled out. I think you can teach some items with this, certainly if you're trying to show somebody something. But my experience was that it needs work. That was essentially what it came down to for me. But enough with that one. Let's move on to one that is probably far greater impact for businesses and local businesses in particular. You can now order food with Facebook. So, and this comes from Facebook's own newsroom. It came out this week. Ordering food for takeout or delivery is supposed to be simple. That's the point. So today they're taking the time out of finding what you want to eat by officially launching the ability to order food for pickup or delivery directly on Facebook. People already go to Facebook to figure out what to eat by reading about nearby restaurants and seeing what their friends say or saying about them. So they're making it even easier. Facebook combines options from a number of food ordering services like Eat Street, Delivery.com, DoorDash, ChowNow, and Olo, as well as restaurants like Jack in the Box, Five Guys, Papa John's, Panera, and more. So you don't have to search through multiple places to find what you're looking for. What are your thoughts on this, Amanda? Are you excited for this? I see a smile.
I'm excited at anything geeky and new.
Okay.
I'm the one that wants to try everything just to say I've tried it.
Okay.
But, this is kind of hitting home for me. So recently, this year, I've been spending half of my time in Toronto and half of my time up here where I am currently in Haliburton, which is a small town 3 hours north of Toronto. This is a sleepy, tiny town. Everything shuts down. You cannot order food anywhere here. It doesn't happen. It doesn't exist.
Right.
So now that I've been growing my business and being more active in the Toronto scene, I've been spending more time down there. My first couple months down there didn't have much in the way of furniture and everything set up yet, so I was ordering out a lot. And I was starting to dive into like Just Eat, food delivery service, Uber Eats, trying out different food delivery services, and being, the novelty of it for me was so exciting until there was a glitch in the system. Food doesn't get delivered. The order didn't go through. Okay, all right, try a different service. Try it again. Problem with the credit card. Problem with it just there are so many steps that have to happen for a flawless user experience. Mm-hmm. And everybody is trying to jump into the food delivery game because it's now the way that people are ordering. If you're not on board with one of those services, your competitors are eclipsing you. So with that, yes, I'm excited about it because of my own personal experiences, but I'm a little bit gun shy. Again, like it's just how, Facebook is rolling out desktop screen sharing, and it's not quite everything you expected it to be. I'm assuming we're going to run into the same thing with this service. And again, it's going to be more relevant for folks who are located in larger urban centers.
Absolutely. That's exactly what my thought was. I don't employ these. I'm in a fairly urban area, but not a big city. I can get around fairly easily, and I probably will not use this right away. My brother, who's in the Bay Area, may be using this because they have several partners here. People will be able to browse restaurants near them that take orders via delivery.com, DoorDash, ChowNow, Zoopla, which I'd never even heard of, Eat Street, Slice, and Olo. So there are a lot of delivery services that you can order from or take orders.
Now, the one area that I find that this is going to be quite relevant, I just recently in my newsfeed had someone ask for recommendations, and I'm loving that new recommendations feature that Facebook has, where when you ask for recommendations, it automatically populates a map. And when people give a recommendation, it tags the Facebook page, and it actually drops a little pin on that map. And that map is a real-time map that you can go and click on the location, access the restaurant, and then find where you are. So when someone's asking for restaurant recommendations, saying, hey, where's a great place to eat in downtown Toronto on the east side on Saturday night? Mm-hmm. And you have this huge long list of recommendations, and you go to check them out. Well, if those services are available for food delivery, I can see how Facebook can tie all of this in. Facebook is just basically paving the way for businesses to be more successful all the way around.
That's exactly what I think. That's what you really have to get on board with this if you're a business. I think this is, work with them on this because they're trying to keep people in their application, and you're doing advertising likely over there already. So, institute this as soon as possible. So, Christian, what are your thoughts?
So I think that, by the way, I'm missing part of the conversation just because my service for some reason is like cutting in and out. So if I repeat something, I'm sorry about that. But I think with the whole food ordering thing, so I haven't gotten on board with ordering food. I can do a lot of that here. Actually, a lot of things where I'm at get delivered, which is kind of crazy. But I think overall, this paves the way, I think, for businesses overall. If I'm a restaurant, this is fantastic because one of the biggest problems with a restaurant is that most of them, they don't update their website. They don't have a blog, they don't have that sort of stuff to drive traffic to it all the time. And so as a result, they build a website, they put up a menu, and then it sits there and nothing ever really changes. So if I'm, a business in this case, this is going to be very useful because I'm going to be able to offload a lot of this responsibility to a third-party service. One of the many places that you mentioned, from the article. So I think this is good news for a restaurant owner because it's going to hopefully help me drive people to my Facebook page a lot more. Mm-hmm. But I think at the same time, this paves the way for potentially other services to be able to leverage, to be able to make more sales. We're talking about sales here, to make more sales, to drive more leads, through their Facebook page. Not just like, this case, it works for restaurants, but hey, let's just imagine if Facebook were to say, well, hey, if I'm a retailer, like I know I could already add a shop tab, maybe they add some additional functionality because, there's other businesses, third-party companies that they work with to make it easy for them to add that functionality without having to really, maintain their website as much and that sort of thing.
Is this taking a chunk out of, is this taking a chunk out of Yelp business? Either of you?
Repeat that?
Is this going to be taking a chunk out of Yelp's business?
Here's the thing. I think it could potentially, but I think a lot of people don't implement Facebook reviews on their page, or they do and they really aren't taking, here's the thing. When you go to your Facebook page, most people don't think to leave a review. It's not hitting you in the face. They see Facebook as a different tool than a reviews tool. Mm-hmm. So I think if a business is driving a lot of reviews to their Facebook page and has a steady base of reviews, then yes, it could take a chunk from Yelp. But I think at the same time, a lot of people, like for instance, where I'm at, TripAdvisor's big. So people aren't, Yelp's not available. TripAdvisor's big, and Facebook's big, but they don't have all the features.
Okay.
And I almost have a slightly different experience where I am, where it feels that Yelp is not a service that's used. TripAdvisor, yes, does get used, but it's not accessed as much by people looking in order to make their decision. But Facebook reviews are being used, and Facebook reviews are becoming the new go-to versus someone doing a Google review. So I see a service such as Facebook offering food delivery services. I see that being so much more powerful for restaurants who are active with that review system and have way more 5-star reviews and way more review and activity and relevant reviews versus their Google reviews where they may have one every month or so, versus restaurants that seem to be getting tons and tons and tons of reviews on an ongoing basis. So I see it having a good dual purpose.
Excellent. And Nets is in the audience with us tonight, and she says Yelp isn't big there either. She's in Singapore. Facebook reviews are being used more there, but mostly when it's a negative experience. So that's interesting that's where it's getting used. Shall we move on to the next story? Let me find it. Our next story is Facebook lets brands dive into people's posts. This comes from Ad Age. Facebook is experimenting with letting brands study people's posts and comments on the network in an effort to better inform their marketing. The beta test, an extension of Facebook's Audience Insights API marketing tech platform, isn't expected to be widely available until next year. According to people familiar with the offering who spoke on condition of anonymity, early ad partners, which include top agencies and media companies, are searching Facebook's vast history of public posts to see what topics, themes, brands, and products are being discussed. User identities are withheld. It's the first time that Facebook, where room for ads in the main newsfeed is almost maxed out, which we all can tell by our own experiences, is making possible for advertisers to mine what users post. The new Insights tool could help marketers see the social network in a whole new dimension and even give them a broader understanding of their businesses with data that informs them about trends in the industry and the consumer mindset. And so interestingly enough, as you read further in this, they say that Facebook has really focused in large part in the past on the comments to posts. And this also is what got them in trouble with the fake news, because they were ignoring what the post was about and were paying attention to the comments. This is now letting ad agencies, in beta testing, allowing ad agencies to review what people are posting. And I'm assuming, although I don't think it was clear, I'm assuming those ad agencies will also want to know what people are commenting in addition to what that post is saying. I want to know that if I were an ad agency. But I think this is really very important for sentiment analysis and all sorts of marketing purposes. You want to know what people are posting in their newsfeed, and certainly you want to know what others are commenting about to that post. I think that's valuable insight for an advertiser. Amanda, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are the headline feels a little bit Big Brother and a little bit scary. Mm-hmm. So the very first reaction with Facebook lets brands dive into people's posts has that uncomfortable feeling of being a little bit violated, or that your privacy is being violated. But when you read further and you really take a step back and you look at what this is, what the purpose of this is and what it's accomplishing, first of all, it's only looking at public posts. So it's not looking at one post that you're sharing among friends or private posts. It's posts that you have made public, that you've put out into the public domain. And then it's also the other point is they're withholding the identities of the actual people. So they're just looking at the data. And my thoughts are, I think it's a bit of a smart move on Facebook's part, because again, they have a lot on their plate. They have a lot. We're demanding a lot of them, and they have to deliver at a very high level. And by them outsourcing their data mining to the ad agencies, the people that want that information the most and who will put the time, energy, blood, sweat, and tears into getting the best out of it, I think it's a smart move. And and once you really think about it, we don't have privacy to the same degree that we expect to have privacy any longer. We could have, well, you'd be able to speak very well to privacy. So, but there's this false veil of consumer protection that we feel with privacy, but it's the data is all living somewhere, and it's only a matter of time before globally we start looking at that data and understanding how to best leverage it. And the hope is, and I'm sure everybody feels the same, is that the hope is that the people that are mining that data are using it in the most responsible way possible.
Right. You know, Christian and I have discussed this. Christian, if you can hear me, we've discussed this item before. As far as the data mining is concerned, if it's going to allow Facebook and the advertisers to deliver more targeted, valuable content, actual ads that I want to see, which still does not happen on my Facebook newsfeed, go for it. You know, send me something that I want to see, that is valuable to me. Then in that case, I don't feel like that's violating my privacy. I am putting this information out on the internet. So take it, refine it, and deliver something that I want to see. Christian, what are your thoughts? Can you hear me? No? Okay.
No.
So Christian's having some technical difficulties.
We should sign with him, Christian. Or just get his
I might have to do that, actually. What was the question, Nick, actually?
Yeah, Mike, it was basically your thoughts on this Facebook looking at the posts, or not Facebook, but the ad agencies looking at the posts and mining that.
I think that overall, you know, again, I mean, this is something that, like, if a business is using this correctly, it can help them tremendously. People need to, you know, also get over the fact that, you know, yes, everything you share out there is going to be public. You know, people are going to be able to, like, you know, look up this, that, and whatever about you. But you also have to remember, like, it's there to help you. So, like, would you rather, you know, you can't really have it. Well, I guess I want to say, like, you can't have it your way, really, because you can't please everyone. But in order, you know, here's the thing: you can't complain that, hey, Facebook's not giving me accurate, you know, newsfeed posts and whatnot, but then be very much against, you know, allowing, for instance, Facebook to be able to take some of that information and use it to better the system. They have to be able to do that, you know, and, you know, it's the same thing with, like, you know, you can look at Apple even as well. Apple's very, like, you know, they're very much against, like, sharing your personal data, but at the same time, they have features in place that say, hey, you know what, when you have a crash report or something on your system or your device or whatever, can we collect that data? Like, it helps them improve it. Like, it's not like they're just saying, hey, let's just give this stuff out freely. So I think that this is a good move that they're going to be coming out with this. And I think as a business, I was thinking this actually leads me to our topic about Twitter tonight. But I think that this is a really useful feature for a business if they take the time to actually look through this. I have a feeling that most businesses they're doing this. They're moving 90 miles an hour. They're not thinking hardly any about the data that is being, you know, that's out there on their page. They're not looking at the comments. You know, they're not really thinking about what they're posting. They don't have a cohesive strategy. They're kind of just doing, you know, going through the motions. And I think that, you know, if they actually take a little bit of time and really analyze what's there and look at the data, that will help them make more informed decisions so that they can delight their customers even more.
Yeah, and I think it sounds like this right now is going to be something that is available to major advertisers. They're the ones who are going to have the funds to really analyze this data anyway. The small, medium businesses are those that maybe that you're serving, Amanda. Do you think it doesn't sound like they're going to have certainly not in the beta testing phase will they have this availability.
No. And this, I mean, us as marketers or data people who are very heavily involved in these conversations on a regular basis, our comfort level is fairly calm about this. But presenting this concept to small and medium-sized businesses, the people that I work with, it stresses them out. It stresses them out because it's beyond comprehension from their day-to-day experience, and it can put somebody in a situation of feeling more alienated from the efforts they're putting in for their business and trying to wrap their head around the digital world and digital advertising that they know they need to be involved in. And then they look at this big brother concept of having all of this data analyzed, and it can sometimes have a little bit of a scary effect for people who don't live and breathe this the same way that we do. So I think, and just to note that it's still, I mean, that's not an official announcement from Facebook. It's still speculative. It's was put out by an anonymous source who knows Facebook. So I think that it has positive written all over it from the people who work in this industry and who are highly educated. But I think from a general public standpoint and the small to medium-sized businesses that I do work with, I don't think that it's going to be very comfortable in their space.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We're still finding, I work for a small business, and it's a matter of, okay, we're going to find the time to go over the data, so it's one of those things that it can be overwhelming. Our next story, Christian, I pulled this from the Denver Post because the product hunt link that you sent us about the Facebook TBH purchase, it just didn't have a lot of data in there about what TBH was. So I just posted in the chat the Denver Post's article on this, which gives us a lot of information about TBH. Facebook acquired TBH, an anonymous teen compliment app. TBH, a mobile app that lets high school and college students compliment one another anonymously, has been acquired by Facebook. The app, which is available on iOS devices, has been around only since August in some states, but its popularity has ballooned. TBH counts more than 5 million users who have sent one another more than 1 billion messages, according to the company. It's the #1 free app on the iTunes charts, ahead of YouTube, Snapchat, and Instagram. The sudden rise was enough to grab Facebook's attention and money. But what is it, and how does it work? So here's a little rundown of how it works. TBH, which is shorthand for to be honest, prompts users to answer polls about people they know. After, of course, they're forced to give the app access to their contacts. The polls come in bundles of 15 questions, and users select the person they have in mind from 4 choices. The questions cover such things as notes of affection, like "I will marry them," straightforward compliments like "freckles on fleek," endorsements and sarcasm. And in turn, when friends pick you as an answer, you get an anonymous notification that includes the question so you can see what other people think of you. Although users can submit their own poll questions, TBH says it reviews those entries and accepts only submissions that are uplifting, not offensive, appropriate for people ages 13 and older, and that are funny or interesting. So with that, there's a lot more here, but what are your thoughts on this, Amanda? Oh, it looks like I've lost Christian.
Yes.
Okay, what are your thoughts on this?
My initial thought when I looked at it and read the information, first of all, I love the fact that we've already seen an evolution of apps like Yik Yak, which was anonymous and just riddled with very negative information, hate speech, hate targeting toward individuals. So we've seen the evolution of that. We saw it grow, and it had a huge, huge popularity. It did have an audience, especially with college and university age students. So again, focusing on students. I think that with TBH, by the way, I love it, to be honest.
Right.
I think with TBH, they just launched in August of this year, and school starts in September. So what they've done is they've nestled themselves in as being the latest and greatest and the cool thing and the fun novelty thing for students who are just starting school, who are just sitting with new classmates, who are just starting a new grade. Everything is new, and this is a way for them to engage and interact with each other. It's also threading the needle on an age group that is hungry for these things, that wants to be involved in social media, but haven't really caught on with Facebook. Facebook doesn't have a hold on that age demographic.
Right.
But guess what? Facebook just got it.
Yeah. That seems to be the big buy here, right?
Yeah.
And if they have 5 million users, and not only that, but I'll give them some credit here. The big buy was to get the 5 million young users, I think, but it was also very positive. TBH is supposed to be a positive and non-offensive platform for teenagers, which we all know that high school is hard enough as it is, right? High school and early college, we know that's hard enough. I think that their idea of anonymously posting compliments I think that's novel in this day and age, because we have seen an overwhelming amount of the negativity in social media, and the trolls seem to come out in droves in social media. So I think this is a really innovative process.
I look at it from a data perspective. I think that on the humanitarian side, finally somebody hit a nerve in a positive way that's actually catching on. But from a data perspective, you look at Facebook, and Facebook wants to create a space where you're being served relevant content. How are they measuring that relevant content? We're looking at engagement, likes, comments, shares, interactions with the post, right? So those signals. So you look at an app like TBH, and not only have you captured a whole bunch of downloads and you're capturing that demographic, but they're engaging with it. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at engagement metrics and you're looking at, again, analyzing content, it really is giving them the ability to cross-pollinate a younger demographic into, you can look at TBH being sort of like the gateway drug to other social media platforms.
Right.
But one thing I really did appreciate when I was looking at the TBH website is at the bottom of the FAQ, when you read through, they have this little section that says, if you are a parent or a preteen, we urge you to set parental controls on your minor's phone to prevent access to social networking applications. And they do have throughout that it's geared for 13 years or older. So I appreciate that this is it is capturing the attention, and it especially now with having Facebook acquire this service. I like that this company seems to have a positive focus in mind and is still looking after privacy and data protection.
And it's important to know, Christian, are you back? Can you hear me yet?
I am, yes.
Okay. I think it's important. A friend of mine, Mark Marty, is an officer in Southern California who focuses a large part of his time these days bringing awareness to child safety and human trafficking issues. And I think that what you just mentioned is highly important as far as the safety and the parental controls, because what these types of apps that especially cater to younger kids, they also cater to those predators looking for younger kids. So I think that's very good that you mentioned that, and that they are aware of such things, and that they encourage the parental controls. Christian, what are your thoughts on the Facebook purchase of TBH?
I think, on the surface, I think this is a good move for them. I think it goes beyond the whole, just liking somebody's post. I think that, granted, you could look at this and say, well, hey, it's kind of just a comment that somebody could leave. But I like the fact that it's anonymous, that it lets people, hopefully they're not going to use this for negative purposes, and look at it, well, hey, I don't have this compliment, I don't have that compliment and whatnot. But I think this is a good purchase for them. I think that it brings people back, hopefully, into the fold of using Facebook, making it, I think Facebook needs to learn more about why people are leaving. Like, are they, are teenagers like not looking at Facebook as cool because, hey, my parents are on it, or are they looking at it from a different perspective? Like, are there features or things that it's missing? I think this isn't a huge acquisition like Instagram, but I think that this is, another way to make the site more sticky to hopefully keep people coming back to it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. They are not, other than for business purposes. I don't find myself going back to Facebook as much as many others my age. So um, it'll be interesting to see how they then negotiate the age increase as these kids now they've got this 13 on age group, at least 5 million of them right now, and it'll be interesting to see, can we keep them as continuous Facebook users for any significant period of time. Our last story for the evening, and we better move this along, Christian, because you still have some tools to share with us. And if I can get back to our last story is make your videos work harder with the video website card. This is from Twitter. Twitter's own blog came out this week. The video website card is designed to work across a variety of brand objectives, as well as in the gray spaces that often exist between those objectives. So whether a brand is pairing the video website card, which I think is a really terrible name, I'm going to say, it just is like, well, what is it? What do you mean video website card? With the high, and I love Twitter, but I do think this is just terrible. With the high reach of first view to announce a product launch, inviting travelers to click through to learn more about featured destination, or showcasing gameplay to drive advanced sales of a new video game. The video website card removes friction for the consumer to engage, learn, or convert their own rate. So let's try and describe it, because that doesn't tell me anything, basically. It's basically a video ad that plays in a tweet, right? Can we agree to that? It starts there, and then when you click on that, it opens, and it'll open, and I tested this on both the Bank of America one and in the Jaguar example. So then it opens and it moves the video to the top of the screen, and it gives you an auto-playing video, a customizable headline, and a destination URL paired with a large tap target. So advertisers can elect to run this creative unit on the video views, website clicks, or awareness objectives to optimize and pay for the action they care about the most. So you click the video, it opens, moves to the top of your screen, and then it preloads the website that you're going to visit. Am I reading this correctly in the way that I've also clicked on it and viewed it, Christian?
Yeah, you are reading it correctly. Yeah, and I put a link in there in the chat for everybody that has an example of what you're talking about there.
Oh, great!
I honestly think it's something people need to play with and kind of just.
The description is tough. I had to play with it to understand what the heck. The title didn't help it at all in my mind.
No, not at all.
The video website card, it doesn't make sense. But I do like what they're trying to do. They're trying to keep people, if you like what you see from Bank of America or you like what you see from Jaguar, they're trying to play, some quick clip for you, although the Jaguar clip is like a minute and a half. And then it's preloading the website in case you want to go over and check that out right then and there if you're interested in the car. Amanda, what are your thoughts on this?
So first thought, finally, Twitter, welcome to the game that Facebook has been playing for years. My second thought, I'd like to buy a vowel. So it does give the advertiser more room to actually say what you need to in the advertisement without having to cram your link into a bit.ly link or a short link, wrapped link, and have a natively uploaded video. So it's all benefit. It's all wonderful. And I was looking at some of in the examples that you were mentioning, I was looking at the results that were being reported, and a 4-cent view rate.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. Or 4-cent cost per click, which is great. So it looks like the results are on par with what you can squeeze out of Facebook, but those are very targeted examples, and those I'm sure had enough budget behind them to make them perform optimally. So I still think that Twitter advertising is a little on the pricey side, depending on your business model. And I find with many small businesses who are not big in the game, it can be somewhat cost prohibitive. But I'm very excited that, again, Twitter, welcome. I mean, Twitter does so many things well. Twitter does so many things differently. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see there are more options.
Yeah, and I think we should, for just for some clarification, the example was, who was this? Gupta Media for Republic Records. They drove 53,000 clicks to Spotify at 4 cents cost per click. So it's still, they spent some money to achieve that. So yeah, bigger brands are going to be the ones going for this early on, and they can afford to. Christian, what are your thoughts on this?
Overall, I really like the idea of this, and I like the idea concept of how this works, because a lot of people, again, we're going to go back to the same thing I kind of have been mentioning earlier. A lot of businesses, especially small, medium businesses, they're overwhelmed with what they're doing. For starters, you need to have a budget. You need to have a budget for any sort of ads you want to run, and it does not have to be a lot of money. Typically, you want that war chest. You want that, the ability to have a budget when you need it. Because here's the thing: if you're going to just, post your content and, hey, I'm going to all of a sudden expect to get these results, it's not going to happen. You have to have some paid behind it. Second of all, I think that this is a fantastic feature for leading people down the funnel. A lot of people, they push out their update and they're expecting, I'm going to get this windfall of sales. And typically it doesn't happen that way. So what this is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to run different types of cards for different points in the funnel. One example they included in the article, which I think actually makes a lot of sense, is let's talk about a movie. A movie's coming out. What's a movie studio going to want to do? They're going to want to pre-sell tickets, for instance. So that's going to have a certain campaign. You want to hype it up, right? But then once the movies come out, you're not going to run the same campaign to drive further sales of tickets. So in this case, maybe what you'll have, for your second type of video website card ad, that's quite a mouthful there, is, for instance, let's use Regal Cinema. Regal Cinema is running a promotion. They've been doing this recently with studios. People that go watch a movie, buy tickets to like 4 movies, for instance, they get a free digital copy of the movie. That might be an opportunity for them to have a second type of campaign running. And then the third might be, the movie's been out a while. Let's give them some reminders. Let's maybe do some sort of a little video that has reviews, for instance, or hey, New York Times said this, and Denver Post said this about this movie, and be very specific with your location. And then the fourth might be, hey, you know what? The movie's coming out on DVD, or it's coming out available on digital, whatever version. That might be another opportunity for a business then to have, another type of video that shows in their feed, because we know that video is the direction people are going. So that's where I see that's how I can see this being very useful. Again, though, it's thinking big picture here. Not just running one campaign, but saying, well, what are the different touch points in my funnel that I want to use,
and different objectives as well. They offered multiple different objectives. Amanda, did you have something more to wrap that? I saw you look down at.
I always do. Yeah, they have multiple objectives. They only have 3. Not only they have video views, website clicks, and awareness. And the way I'm looking at this, compared to some of the other stories that we've talked about tonight, it's all positive. It's all positive. It's a good move on their part. It's a little late to the game, but that's okay, because look at the size of their user base. Look at the size of their advertiser base. It's not a bad move, and everybody benefits. Yeah. So good on them.
Yeah, I agree. It is very positive, except for the name of the product. Other than that, I think it's fantastic.
Video website cards. Say that 10 times fast.
Yeah, exactly. Christian, I'm going to turn it over to you for some tools.
Okay, let's talk about some tools. So the first tool I want to share with you all tonight is a tool called Soundboard Studio. And this is a tool for people who have, if you run a podcast, you might run a Facebook Live show. What this tool does is it allows you to set up on your iOS or your Android device, iOS or iPhone or iPad. Sorry, got that. So what it does is it lets you set up various, basically, hotspots on your phone. And here we go. So it lets you basically set up different hotspots on different on one screen, where now if I'm doing something, for instance, say I want to add a pre-recorded piece of content, maybe it's a sound effect. I can just tap on this on my phone and it will play that particular piece of sound. It could also then be, maybe it's an opening you have for a show. Maybe it's the closing, pieces like that. So this is geared towards people who are podcasters, people who are live, use live video as well. It's basically a soundboard. So you have all of these clips available at your disposal without having to like re-record them, or where did I put that file, that type of thing. And I will say, from a business perspective, you buy a lot of equipment, when you're running, podcasts, or doing live video. And so what this does is it helps you reduce the need for all that equipment, because all you need is your phone, and a USB connection. So that's the first app for the week. That's Soundboard Studio.
Nice.
Now, I'd just like to point out that you see it's $38.99 US dollars. When we translate that into Canadian, it's $53.99. So when I evaluate apps and look at content like this, there's the giddy like ooh factor, but then there's the okay, does it really make sense for business right now factor?
Right. Yep.
And you're absolutely right. You do have to look at that. Some businesses it will cost. If you look at it from the perspective of this, I'm really into podcasting and I spend an inordinate amount of time doing something. This does eliminate, the fact that like, hey, I have to buy an $1,800 piece of equipment to get started. But the other thing I also want to mention, there is a light version of this as well, that they have available as well. It's at the bottom of the page here. Okay. So there's a light version as well. So you can at least test it out, see if you like it. $38.99, honestly, for me is an expensive app. If this was like, a Mac application that I would use, piece of software, I'd be willing to spend that. But on a mobile device, it's pricey, but I know quite a lot of people that use it. It works very well.
Okay, good to know. So you do have some anecdotal experience from others who say that it works very well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And here's the thing. The other thing also is, if you have devices lying around, we upgrade our devices. You could turn one of your older devices into just that specific piece of equipment. Like you've already paid for it. You've gotten your use out of it. Now you're basically repurposing it in a meaningful way for your business, so that we don't have to go buy more stuff.
Yeah.
But I like buying new stuff.
There's that too. If you can write it off, maybe.
It's a perpetual geek problem. I just keep acquiring new clients so I can buy more gadgets.
All right, Christian, what else have you got for us tonight?
Okay, so the last tool for today is called Zest. And this is it's a really neat application. I'm going to pull my screen up here for everybody to see this, and we'll drop the links in the chat as well. But so this is what Zest is. It's a Google Chrome extension. What it does is every time you open a new tab, it pulls up Zest. And Zest is basically geared towards marketers. It shows you a lot of the top content that is out there. And I will say this, a lot of the sources that are here, they're not your typical sources. So they're not going to be, I'm looking at Mashable or I'm looking at TechCrunch. Like a lot of the content here is not from those sites. Like, yeah, you have HubSpot here, but you have a lot of in this case, this is sellbright.com. You've got smile.io. You've got quite a number of tools here, or a number of websites. Now, what's unique about this is you can also suggest links as well to Zest. And Zest will actually manually go through and review all of the content. So they're not just going to say, well, hey, we're going to take that article from TechCrunch, which TechCrunch happened to take that article from, 2 or 3 other sites, to have blog content. They basically will look at the content and say, well, hey, is this something that could serve the marketing community? If it is, they're going to drop it in there, and they'll actually notify you as well. So very, very, very cool Google Chrome extension. And you do have a lot of options here. You've got, your light, dark modes, but you can also go in here and you can change the different layouts you have, to see what fits your need here. Personally, I kind of like the tiles mode just because I can, get an idea of who the author is. I can see the number of social shares they've got so far, and then also they tag them with a particular topic. So if I'm like, hey, I want to see all the articles I'm interested in, conference, for example, I can just click on the conference section and see what's there. If I want blogging, I can go there and look at just content related to blogging. Again, this is manually classified. If I'm a local business, I even have a local tab as well down here. So lots and lots and lots of options to choose from. It's a Google Chrome extension. It's free. You can also do your sorting by how popular the article is and whatnot as well. So that's it. Those are the tools for the week.
Excellent. So I downloaded that one early in the week, but then I didn't play with it at all. Christian sent it to me, and then the week got away from me. So I have not actually played with it since you sent it to me, and I put it and I added it as an extension. Have you played with it, Amanda?
I looked at it today and I went to install it, but I held off. I read some of the reviews and I realized that it seems like it is a bit of an aggressive add-on because it completely overtakes all of your new tabs. And it's not something you can really undo. You have to uninstall. But they do have a light version, which I think is a bit of a better user experience if that's not your cup of tea. And I also read that it can be extremely distracting, and I have a very short attention span that likes to go squirrel.
Mm-hmm.
So and then the last thing that I went to install, and then it gives you the little pop-up saying you're about to give permission for Zest to read and change your data on all Zest.is sites and api.linkedin.com. I found that one interesting.
Yeah.
And replace the page you see when opening a new tab and read a list of most frequently visited websites. So it just didn't sing to me at first.
Yeah.
So I was just curious to see what your experience was before I.
Yeah. So I think now that it was very early in the morning when Christian was texting me and I was cursing him under my breath while I was waking up, and
that never happens. Come on.
No, never. And I think what I did is I think I stopped, now that I recall it, if I'm recalling it correctly now because I was still half asleep, is I stopped because it was asking me to sign in through LinkedIn. And I was like, well, that's interesting. Normally I'll get a Twitter sign in or a Facebook sign in, but a LinkedIn sign in. And then I think I stopped at that point and I said, I'll come back to it later. And I never got back to it. So what are your thoughts, Christian? You were all for it, huh?
Here's the thing. I like it because, if you go through the typical process to actually, granted, privacy things aside, if I want to go keep up with any sort of information, here's what I have to do. I have to go to the website. I have to get their RSS feed, go over to my RSS feed reader, pull in the application. Sometimes sites don't pull up if you try to search there. So you have to, go back to their site, get the stuff. So that's part of it. But the other thing I think that's really valuable about this is the fact that it brings the information to me. I don't have to go and, look at all my RSS feeds. Every time I open a new tab, I can quickly see what's the newest thing that's been added.
Okay.
I think that saves, some time, but I also agree with Amanda here. It can be a distraction as well. You open a new tab and you're like, hey, that article looks really good. Oh, what was that I was supposed to go do?
3 hours later, oh yeah, that client ad I was supposed to get out an hour ago.
Yeah, that's right.
But, again, it's all about, in this case, it's helping you surface, maybe for instance, maybe you are working on work for a client, and again, this is geared towards marketers working on something for a client, and you happen to come across an article that is geared towards local business, and you're like, hey, that actually is something that could be applicable to what I'm doing. I think it's about exercising some self-control and saying, hey, you know what, when I open this, maybe I'll look at the article, maybe I'll save it for later using Pocket or one of those tools. But it does give me the ability to at least get that information without having to have too many tabs open and whatnot, I think, because everything's right there. That's
like the equivalent of leaving a bowl of chocolate on my desk and trying to exercise self-control. Yeah. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm going to side with Amanda on this. I am not big on the self-control issue.
As much as I'm pumping the brakes on this app, I read tons of reviews and everybody's raving about it. The people who are using it absolutely love it and cannot live without it. So take it all into consideration.
Excellent. So that wraps up tonight. Amanda, where can folks find you if they want to get in touch with you?
They can find me over at socialsavvysociety.com, facebook.com/socialsavvysociety, on Twitter @SheWakeboards. and just generally floating around the web. Make sure you say hi. I love connecting with new people. I want to have these types of conversations. I love geeking out. And if you feel that that I'd be a good person to geek out with and have a conversation, let's link up on a video call, have a chat, and see what doors that opens.
Awesome. Very cool. Christian, any final thoughts for this evening?
We'll see everyone next week, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll probably be on Zoom again. But just keep an eye out on the Facebook page, facebook.com/social chefs. And we will see everyone next week. Thanks a lot for joining.
Right. Bye. Thanks, Amanda. Great to meet you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Have a good one.
You're welcome.
You too.
Bye-bye.